Welcome to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network. Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome, everybody, into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. My name is Joe Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That dude sitting next to me is former Buffalo Bill offensive lineman, offensive tackle John Fina for 10 years. You can find him on Twitter at John Fina. Please do us a favor. Please like, please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this vidcast on live right now. Please hit that like button, smash that like, as the young kids say. And please do us a favor, subscribe, hit the notifications button. And if you are listening to this in post as a podcast, or if you ever miss a live show, please know that you can find our podcast on every podcast platform. Just search Overreaction Buffalo and it will pop up for sure. We also have a website, overreactionbuffalo.com, where you can find some really cool, unique features that you can't get on any other Buffalo Bills fan site. And what else, John? All of our social media platforms. You can find us on every social media platform by searching Overreaction Buff. But it is so good to have all of you joining us in the comments section. Welcome. If you are not watching currently on YouTube Live, jump over to YouTube. That's where all the cool kids hang out. But John, the Buffalo Bills are 10-3, still AFC East champions. They can't take that away from them, I don't think, until February, right? Actually, till next year. They don't take that away from you for until the next year. And the offense looked amazing, and the defense left something to be desired. What'd you think?
You see this smile, Joe? I'm faking it, baby. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little morose, and for me, it was a complete flip, right? As an offensive player, I've been involved in a number of games. I actually went back and looked at the 92 and 93 seasons when we went to the Super Bowl early in my career.
Yep.
And I found a couple of games where I wanted to feel how the defense feels today, because the defense should feel like dog bleep, right? And I remember my entire career at Arizona, we were terrible offensively. We'd come off the field, our defense would hold them to 12, and we'd score 11 or 10. And the feeling is just awful. And
right.
So I'm faking it. I'm pretending to be happy, because I just, those defensive guys right now, there's a lot of self-reflection. There's a lot of self-reflection in that defensive coaching staff meeting room, and there ought to be.
Right.
So as much as we're wildly entertained by Josh Allen and the offense and Khalil Shakir, I feel like I have to cross myself when I say his name. Holy smokes. It was hard to watch. And thankfully, I didn't have to watch the final 20 minutes, which curiously, 20 minutes of the game was just about how much more clock they had than us, which is shocking and painful.
You missed effectively some of the best part of the game. There was a moment there that I thought this was going to turn into the 13-second game again. It was like 2.5 minutes or 2:40 left, and I was like, how many touchdowns are we going to get in the next 2.5 game minutes? It didn't work out that way, but I was surprised. There was a moment in this game. I think I talked about it off air with Jerry last night after the post-game show, or I can't remember. There was a moment in this game where the Rams go for it on fourth down to get their last touchdown, to basically run it up 9 points. And effectively they were up 3 at that point. They were in field goal range, and they kicked the field goal. And there's a justification in Sean McVay's mind that they probably talked about even before the game started, like going into the preparation for this game, that 3 points isn't going to be enough. 6 points isn't going to be enough. We're not going to, it was a very Buffalo Bills, Pat Mahomes moment. Like, we're not going to give the ball back to Pat Mahomes down less than 7. If we're down 3, we're going to do whatever we got to do to get into the end zone. And Sean McVay and the Rams paid Josh Allen that compliment in this football game. They were like, no. 3 is not enough. 6 is not enough, because he's going to get the football back with a minute 30, and he's going to go right down the field and score minute 50 or whatever it was. And sure enough, they went for it on fourth down, got that touchdown to Puka Nacua, and then kicked the ball off to Josh Allen, who went right down the field and scored a touchdown. So it was it's nice to be on that side of it. Even though we lost, it's nice to be on that side of the compliment. Like, oh, they're doing this because they're afraid if they give the ball back to Josh that it's going to be lights out.
Yeah, I haven't been on social media a lot today for
Good for you.
the very purpose of I'm really over pundits, just scorched earth, and you really only get the real perspective from people who aren't paid to do the crap that we're doing right now, right? The people who are like, okay, take a deep breath. All right, we're not in bad shape. And if you get on the socials, you're going to get wrapped up in somebody, and I'm not naming names here, but a lot of people that I should unfollow. But it's sort of my policy, Joe, that I don't unfollow people.
You're allowed to mute them. You're allowed to mute them.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to mute anybody either. I find the world to be, 51% offensive, but I also feel like I should be strong enough to face crap. So I don't mute anybody. I don't unfollow anybody. When I see it, deep breath, reach my zen, move on.
I've blocked a couple people in the last 24 hours. So I mean, there's people that came at me with just some ridiculous stuff.
Dude, is that why I'm not seeing your tweets?
You were one of them. No, there
was a moment there. I got a notification.
It doesn't notify you that Joe Miller has blocked you if that happens. But there's just an aspect of things that I don't need to take, right? I don't need to take personal insults that are a little bit ridiculous and over the top when it literally has nothing to do with anything that we do on this network as it pertains to either being too negative or being too positive, whether it's being a homer, which we are. I don't feel.
I'd like to see some screenshots, Joe, because if I have to go open a can of Texas whip ass on a few people who are getting personal over football, I will be happy to do 24 hours in Buffalo County for you, brother.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's funny because I feel like we do a pretty good job of staying even keel. That's kind of like the oxymoron of the name of the network and the podcast. When I started it, overreaction. I don't really overreact, but the fans do, as we're seeing. No, I don't. As we're seeing, the fans are completely overreacting. It's all, you win 7 straight. Go ahead.
I'd say by and large, it's not the fans that are overreacting. There are a few, but it's the people with the bigger amplitude of voice who are really doing, discredit to this entire situation.
There's some that are realizing what happened. I mean, it's, I don't. It goes back to your point as far as just the defense and how they feel today. And I did a series of shows last year, and I did a series of topics last year about how many times Josh Allen has walked off the field a winner, only to walk to the locker room a loser. Now that did not happen in this game. The Bills did not have the lead one time, not a single time. However, the man went nuclear in this football game, and it's another one
that it is pronounced nuclear.
That word too. I mispronounced one word and John comes at me. But anyways,
no, you pronounced it correctly. That's the Simpsons joke. Joe, I'm going to cut you off, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because I think when you have a performance like that, and everybody says Josh Allen, but it takes 14 guys all rotating through the offense to do it. And the crazy thing is, I can go back and look at probably 2 of the first 5 drives and say, Josh made a poor decision here, and Josh, could have made a better throw there, and we could have blocked a little bit better up front on the run. But here's the thing, and you're right. In my opinion, his performance is a winning performance, whether we had the lead or never had the lead or all that aside. The issue is you got to stop them. If the defense stops them once and we're able to punt the ball, we get a rhythm, we win this game.
Yeah, we're saying the same thing.
That's an absolute fact.
You're jumping in, but I don't know that you're saying anything different than what I was going to say. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I mean, my point was going to be that at some point, somebody on the defensive staff, you would think is like, this is becoming a habit. Like there's big games where Josh Allen goes nuts that we are just hanging him out to dry. We're leaving him on the wrong side of the W column. And I don't know how that necessarily gets addressed. To your point about Josh Allen having a good performance and he made some mistakes and he made some silly throws. He did. There was a couple throws where I was like, that's not an MVP throw. There was probably 5 or 6 of them, but I don't care what anybody says. Mitchell Trubisky's not having that. Mitchell Trubisky's not having that game if he's playing quarterback. There's probably one quarterback in the NFL that's having that game if he's in that game with that cast of the other 13 guys that are like rotating in and out. I just don't know at what point in time, because it's in the comments section. At what point in time are we concerned that this is the MO of this team? Josh Allen goes nuts in the playoffs and we end up losing a game because the defense can't hold them.
Okay, can I address that question then?
Yes.
So
that's where I was going with all.
Right. So we have a level of expectation because we know what is possible, right?
Right.
And we have a level of expectation because we've been that close. We can taste it. Okay.
Right.
But this kind of crap happens across the league all over the place. Yeah. And the Detroit Lions are saying this about their team from last year. And the teams that are finishing at 8-9 and 6-11 also had games like this where they felt they were 3 games away by less than 5 points each. So I'm not saying it's okay to feel this way. All my point is we see what we got.
Right.
We know that we can come back against anybody with the talent that we have. Defensively, we have seen our team make adjustments more or less season long, and we've done okay.
They did in this game as well.
No, I can't agree with that.
Okay.
I think when we played man and brought pressure, we got beat on man and guys came open. When we sat in zone and brought 4, we had no pressure, but more so the Rams receivers were getting open, A, but B, more remarkably, holy cow, Stafford was throwing balls that by and large should not have been completed. That shot should not have been caught. It was off the charts insane. And I think when confronted by that situation, we never made a play on defense. I don't think.
Right. For sure. No, they did stop them. They forced them to punt in the third quarter, late in the third. In the 19th quarter. The defense played better. They still didn't necessarily do enough to stop them. This is a tough game. There's plenty of blame to go around, and it's always weird to me when you score 42 points, your quarterback scores 6 touchdowns, does something that nobody has ever done in the history of football. He's another only quarterback in NFL history to do this. They're the only team now in the NFL out of 200 and I don't even know what the number was. It was something crazy to score 42 points, have no turnovers, and lose a football game. Like, they're the only team to have ever done that. And then meanwhile, what we have to do is, well, we probably could have ran the ball better. Or I guess the quarterback could have thrown a couple better passes. And it's like, they gave up 44 points. Like,
I gave up 44 I agree. Points. None of this is on the offense. I mean, I'll pull up one play in particular that just makes me insane.
Right.
And then a few other plays, and we'll discuss them. But by and large, this loss is on the defense. This loss is on special teams. And I have maybe a little different take on that than some people who want to, hang Smiley at Niagara Square or Reed Ferguson for that matter. So, that'll be quite the conversation you and I have. Hopefully it comes to blows and I fly to Buffalo and we have this huge fight and then we drink a lot of bourbon. So
the interesting thing about your point about Matthew Smiley, I'm not on a fire Matthew Smiley kick. So just so you know,
no, but
even in that last sequence with the punt, 9 guys on the field. I don't even know how that happens. Like, how do the guys that are on the punt team, are they on the bench getting a water? Are they eating a banana? At what point is it like, no, punt team? Like, how do they not know where are the 2 dudes at? And then the other one that got revealed today, because coach was asked in his Monday press conference, do you wish that Codrington would have returned that punt? And Sean was like, you mean the last one? And I think it was Alex Brasky, who is comes on the beat all the time. He's like, yeah, the last one. And Sean's like, yeah, if you could do that, we'd do that whole play over again if we could, which means that he was supposed to field that punt. How does he not get that memo? Like, How do 9 guys show up on punt team, return team, and the punter doesn't catch the punt when the clock's hitting 0?
Joe, if you've known me for at least a couple of weeks now, I generally do not say, oh, well, they wanted it more, or
Sure.
they came to play, the other team didn't. That stuff makes me crazy, right? Because I've been through it. I prepared for every game.
Yeah.
Sometimes there is a layer of flatness, of not malaise, but just kind of like, wow, the Bills just looked a little flat on defense. And then I watched the film today, and there were moments, and that's the problem, is you can't allow moments, right? There's like, oh, well, he could have done that. Rasul Douglas, who by and large had a pretty rough game, right? The defensive front four was, when they weren't being held, they just weren't very active.
Right.
And, this kind of thing can't happen. And then I fly back in my memory bank and I say, damn, it's a long season. And it is, you have to materially and artificially blow yourself up from time to time. It's, the dip. I don't know if you read that book. Should have been a pamphlet. Everybody hits the dip in your career, right? You work 46 weeks or 48 weeks a year. Occasionally you're kind of like, man, I don't want to do this right now. Right. Just because it's only a 17-week season doesn't mean that it doesn't also happen to that group, and you don't want it to. And you're like, how can that possibly happen? It's the greatest job on the planet, but it does. And it revealed itself a little bit early. And then by the time that it snowballed, we had to play catch up.
Yeah.
I don't like
In fairness, it's a 3% chance as the way onside kicks and the rules are now, it's a 3% chance to recover. 3%. So minuscule. The Bills did not recover, and I'm going somewhere with this, then we can get to some film breakdown. The likelihood of the Bills, or of the Rams, punting that last punt or that last kick, and Codrington catching it with 13 guys on the field, and Codrington returning it for a touchdown, or doing some, Cal versus Stanford or whatever that Chris Berman saying is,
or the Iron Bowl,
right? Slim and none. The Mafia is very much up in their feelings, but I think it's more of a projection. Well, if this happens here, we've seen this happen before. What happens if it happens in the playoffs when it really matters in the third quarter? But anyway, it is what it is. But it was an entertaining football game. I saw somebody tweet out today, for everybody that's not a Bills fan, this was a fantastic football game. like this was a game it was very much reminiscent of the Bengals Steelers game last week. I was riveted during that game. I was on the edge of my seat because it was just back and forth, touchdown. It was crazy.
After all of it, I'm glad I was not able to go, because I hate witnessing that kind of thing in person. I don't like it. I want to win by 21 or lose by 21.
Right. Gotcha.
What killed this football team was time of possession. What killed this football team was not making any defensive plays. What killed this football team was, although we had fewer penalties than they had, the penalties that we committed were huge.
Yeah.
They missed some pretty obvious penalties. As I watched the game, there were holding calls in not crucial moments, but adding up to moments where I thought the Bills could have extended a drive. Our guys were held on defense. We just didn't get any calls. And I am not a conspiratorial monger like some people in our government are. I don't believe that the officiating is against the Buffalo Bills for any particular reason. I don't think the fix is in. I just think by and large, these are a bunch of average people asked to do a job that's borderline, not even borderline, that's certainly impossible to please both sides. But when obvious things are missed, I get a little bit angry, but I don't go to the conspiracy, right? I'm not, this is not Russia collusion. Okay.
Well, yep. Well, before you do your film breakdown, which we need to get to right now, because we're getting late, just know that like 95% of the money was on the Bills to beat the spread. So you can just do that what you will. And then when you consider that fourth down false start that didn't get called, that was a touchdown.
That's pretty hard to stomach. All right,
Right.
let's bring up a couple of plays here. You're not going to like the first one, or you're not going to like the second one. First one
Gotcha.
you're going to love,
Yeah.
and I love it too. So we always talk about, geez, the Buffalo Bills can't run a screen, but here's Ty Johnson.
It was amazing. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, perfect timing by the offensive line. I want to break it down a little bit. So
It was reminiscent of the Chan Gailey offense. It was unbelievable how good it was.
So when you look at the alignment here on the viewer's right, the tackle's always got to take the end, right? And the idea is you got to keep his hands down when the ball's released. You don't want anybody batting it. And then the cat and mouse portion of this is between the center and the guard. Depending on where the defensive tackle goes, the appropriate offensive lineman releases. In this case, it just makes a ton of sense that Edwards pins the guy and Connor McGovern releases first. But the beauty of this, and you don't always get this, and this is really the crux of this play. Edwards pins the guy, but he also releases, and he's not fleet of foot, Joe, but his effort and his timing are absolutely perfect. So he pins him, lets him go. Josh releases the ball. Deion Dawkins drops versus hands just a little bit. And here we go. Now we got two offensive linemen. This is the key. And this is super hard often for young offensive linemen to learn. When you release on a screen, you have to go flat. You have to go down the line of scrimmage or down the hash mark. If you gain ground, if you go upfield, you lose any possibility of leverage on your blocks. So it's a perfect job by McGovern first. Bang, he hits that guy. And it's about the line of scrimmage, so that's an okay block. But the beauty of this is now Edwards, who is going flat at first, is now still flat. Ty can wait him out, and he barely touches the guy, but it's enough of a block. It's really just a great play.
And speaking of fleet of foot, from the sideline view, the game view, when he puts on the Jets, he's like, you see him, to your point, kind of like slow up momentarily, and then he puts on the Jets and he is gone. So what is it about this? I'm going to say version, and you're going to tell me I'm wrong. What is it about this version of the screen that it was effective, whereas the other screen, the hundreds over the last 6 years that we've ran, have not been?
I'm going to tell you my best guess, because so much of it is just luck and timing. Right. What we did on this particular screen is you look down here at the 35-yard line. I don't know if that's either Knox or Hollins, but that's it.
Oh, Hollins. Yep, it's Hollins. Yep.
That's it on that side of the ball. So Hollins is definitely on the left side. So we got trips right, which pushes all of the receivers to the right.
Right.
And just Hollins on the left. And now he's our best blocker. There's a motion going across the formation. So we moved everybody.
I think Allen looks to his right.
It looks just like pass.
So it's a misdirection play, right?
No, it's not misdirection. But what we're trying to do is get them to think pass. And if we get the right drop from the linebacker, then we have a good play going. But what really makes it is Hollins, right? The guy's pretty much a beast. He's doing such great things when the ball's coming to him or when it's away.
Yep, for sure.
And people will cry that that's a hold. Probably could have been called, but shoot, in this game, I got to be honest with you. I mean, they could have thrown upwards of 25 flags. The game would still be going on, Joe.
Right.
All right. I didn't even want to look at this play. I watched it over and over when it happened. I rewound it. And this, to me, is, I don't know. I went back and looked at a couple of other punts. But to me, I'm putting this on Sam Martin.
His get off was super slow. This is not abnormal for him. Jerry and I talked about it last night. Like he has a tendency to take his time.
He's slow, and he's at 13.5. And I went back and looked, he's always at 13.5, but he's a fairly tall guy, right? And he's a long stepper. Everybody wants to put this on Reed Ferguson, but look at Reed right now. Can you see his face mask?
I can't.
No, because he's got his head up his hiney, right? So anybody that thinks that your long snapper is going to do anything other than try to like panic recover and get in the way is outside their mind. But let's do a little bit of math. If Sam Martin's at 15 yards right now rather than 13 or 13 and a half, he's punting the ball a yard and a half deeper from the actual point where he kicks the ball. He steps up long. He's almost 5 yards up. The Ram defender gets the right hand on the ball. If he's back a half a yard, either by virtue of alignment or by virtue of stepping, this is not blocked. And that to me is the real tragedy here. I mean, I got to be honest with you, being a long snapper, it's just about the crappiest job ever. Right there. He gets drove. He's doing everything he can. But the Ram defender, you're outflanked. You got your head up your hiney. There's no way to recover. This is on Sam Martin. You could say it's on Smiley. Every single time, even in high school, that we have a snapper holder exchange or a snapper punter exchange, our special teams coach has it on a stopwatch. And I'm guessing this failed both alignment and time.
But you said you went back and watched some of his other ones, and he's always at 13 and a half.
That's right.
So is he supposed to be? Is it like the 10-yard rule for a quarterback and a dropback? Is he supposed to be at 15? Is that the unspoken rule?
That would have to be a discussion between me and Coach Smiley, because I got to tell you, the athletes in today's football game are such that I want that extra yard and a half to 2 yards.
Right.
I mean, it's not like Reed Ferguson can't snap the ball an extra yard and a half. And it's not as if by going an extra yard and a half or 2 yards in flight that it will delay the punting process significantly. I just think this is like, if nobody here's the issue, Joe, right? A lot of times in life, if you don't have a manager managing the manager of something, it's somebody who is coming in and giving you a third party look. Like, where's the third party look at this? That your punter's at 13 yards.
Yeah, secret chopper.
And he's a long stepper.
Somebody that's not close to the project.
That's right. That's right. And this is the oversight that you get. This is the result of the oversight.
It'd be interesting to see if there's an adjustment next week or this week.
Okay, I can't press play again because I can't watch it again. Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
It hurts my brain. As tiny as my brain is, Joe, you don't want to hurt it. All right, this one is just a general, like, the defense was bad, but I got to be mad at the offense about something, okay? So I had to find a play.
That was Sean McDermott's post game yesterday.
I think in the moment, Joe, you tend to say things and you can rewind it and parse it out all you want. I'm sure he's particularly annoyed at Babish and the defense right now. But let's talk about this particular run, which just baffles me. Okay. This is zone left, 2 Deion Dawkins. This is so easy. And I have said on this program many, many times that bringing guys like Mac Hollins, even though he's a terrific blocker, and other little guys going all the way back to McKenzie. Remember that guy? He's been gone so long, people can't even spell his name anymore. Relying on these guys to do simple math and block the right guys hurts when they don't do it right. And this is not on Mac Hollins. I'm just referencing Mac because he's in the frame and he's part of this play. This is all Dawson Knox. If we're going left, Joe, very, very quickly because of our time together doing this, that Connor McDermott I always do that. Connor McGovern has the linebacker who's right on top of him. Torrance and Spencer Brown are going to work the combination to the linebacker in front of them, right?
Yep.
So simple math states that Knox and Hollins have the 2 guys on top of them.
Above them.
Right? Now I'm going to run the play, and you watch Knox and tell me that I'm overreacting.
Ugh.
What on God's green earth is he doing? Like, if I'm in this meeting room right now, and God forbid I'm with the entire offense and they bring this play up, bro, I'm pulling the brim of my cap down. I'm hiding. I'm laying under the table. I'm going to try to get under the chair if I can. because that guy is in line of sight. I can see that linebacker approaching the hash. And all I have to do is step upfield with my right foot, extend my right arm, give Mac Hollins an opportunity to move in and leverage the guy on me. And then I can float up and I can front up the linebacker. But instead, he steps out, he fronts that guy. Now,
that 37 is probably the nickel corner, and he assisted Dawson because he stepped into the field. He stepped into the middle of the field. Like he gave him a better angle.
Now, I will give Dawson Knox a chance, and I will blame this on Mac Hollins right now. Okay, so you can take it either way. And until you and I are in the offensive planning room, because the Bills have done a lot of fold blocks, that there is a possibility, and I don't love it, that Mac Hollins was supposed to go inside of Knox and block that nickel corner or the linebacker. I don't know who it is. So you can say that Knox is doing the right thing, and Mac Hollins is supposed to go inside to that ginormous gap and bump that guy. And then now you've got this poor guy coming down into the hole with blue and yellow. God, their uniforms are awful. I'll
be honest with you. If you back that up 4 frames and then run it again, so half the distance of the timeline, if you watch the body language of Mac Hollins, it's kind of an oh crap moment. There's my guy. The play starts, and Mac, he 37, the nickel corner, who Mac probably believes is going to cover him, right? Like he's going to come up and cover him. And then 37 takes that step inside, which completely removes the angle that Mac has on him. And then he runs around the end. And you can see him kind of like get alerted to, there goes my dude.
Joe, I will give you that. But you have to have communication. They have a plan for this. So either Knox is 100% wrong, and I would rather block it my way than fold this and take a guy like 13 who does a terrific job and put him in space trying to front up a guy. I would rather have it done my way. It's cleaner, it's easier, and there is less ambiguity on the snap of the ball.
Right.
But these are the kinds of things, this little detail, if they pick this block up, so what happens here, if Mac Hollins gets on the defensive end, he's either going to wash him or seal him out. And then Knox, all he has to do is get a bump on the shoulder of the linebacker or the nickel corner, and James Cook hits the seam toward the right hash, and he's gone. So why? Why can't they get that detail right on a very simple defensive front? I mean, I would beg the defense to line up like this. Like when we saw this, when we were players, when Jerry and I and Glenn Parker and Howard Ballard, when we were in the trenches and they lined up like this, bro, the drool was coming out of our mouth. We were salivating. Like, give me this look every play, for the love of God. Please, I deserve it. I'm a little passionate.
So if there's a third cookie to dish out in the cookie jar of wrongs, as much as the running back's responsibility is to take it through the gap that he's supposed to take it through, if he bounces this out to the right, if he recognizes that, because that dude 37 comes downhill at him, like straight downhill at him, and Cook cuts it inside versus bouncing it outside around Mac Hollins' shoulder.
Not a chance.
Right?
Not a chance. When you're a running back and you see that kind of real estate between Spencer Brown and Knox, you're hitting that hole. Your expectation is Knox is going to be on him, or that it's a wrap and Hollins is going to be there. That is the absolute right read for James Cook. You can't.
I didn't say it was the wrong read, but when he sees, if you advance the frame, like 37 comes down at him right there.
Yeah, he's committed already, though. Look at the gap between Knox.
There is a defender outside. There is a defender outside too, coming into the frame.
No, so, yeah. James Cook is not definitely. He made the right decision. It was just bad blocking.
And
so Joe, the reason I brought this play up is those are the details that you have to get right when you're in the wild card game or when you're in whichever next, game we're in.
Yeah, sorry. And the hard part about the whole thing is if that block is made properly, when you look at this shot right here, you've got Spencer Brown out in space on a linebacker and Connor McGovern out in space on a linebacker. I mean, how far is James Cook running if that fold block or whatever you're talking about, that exchange is made properly?
Right.
Rough.
Yeah, and those are details, and championship teams, they make that play properly.
Yep.
Or
we got time for one more. Go ahead.
Or just get Hollins out of the frame. All right, this is the one. This is up for discussion. You and I. This is the touchdown. I love you, Joe. I'm not going to call holding on this. And because the inside receiver is flat, he's basically 1 yard depth. He impacts that guy. I'm not calling holding on this. It was a well-designed play.
There's a moment where Cooper Kupp's hands are almost clasped behind Ingram's back.
Yeah, I agree, but the momentum
and then he turns them
right there. And I agree, except the momentum by the Bills defender is upfield. I'm not making that call. The hardest part to digest about this is we are in zero coverage. We are bringing the house. Everybody's up on the line of scrimmage. It's a perfect play against this defense, and it's just bad timing.
And there's an uncalled false start.
And there's an uncalled, yeah. I mean, that to me, I mean, it's shameful. I mean, that's you had one job, right?
Yep. The word it goes back to the face mask on Ray Davis. Was it Ray Davis a couple weeks ago that like the entire world saw? 70,000 people saw it in the stands, and the refs on the field that are staring at it didn't see it. But good stuff, my man, as always. And thanks for the mix, the variety of stuff. That was educational and super, super good. So any final thoughts? What are the Bills going to be working on this week headed in to see the Lions?
Yeah, and what concerns me about this Lions team is I think a little better run game, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is basically, he reminds me of Shakir and Puka Nacua, right? So we're facing a little bit of the same come this week. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'll get roasted by you and anybody else. If we drop to the Lions, I'll take it if we win out after that. We beat the Patriots twice, and we beat the Jets. I'm okay with it. Yep. There's 4 games to go. There are one great team we're playing and 3 who we should beat, but it's division rivalry. And, that's just hard to do. But we needed this game. We really needed to win out. We needed a little bit of help, which we're not getting against the Chiefs. And as I said before, the Chargers scare me more than the Steelers, but I still don't want to go to Pittsburgh in any event. But by and large, they're going to work hard on defense. They're going to work on scheming. They got to understand a little bit better. And hopefully nobody plays out of their mind like Stafford, Puka, and Cooper and the rest of the damn Rams, because that was like a clinic of luck and timing. And I mean,
it was perfect.
It was perfect, and I hated to see it.
Good stuff. I'm going to get us out of here because we're a little bit long. We had a great conversation, John. Fantastic work, and thank you so much for sharing your intelligence, expertise, and knowledge with all of us here in the Mafia. We appreciate you, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by Believe. Please do us a favor on the way out. Please like, please subscribe, do all that good stuff. Tell a friend. But yeah, the Buffalo Bills, they're going to work on it, and we're going to see what happens against the Detroit Lions this week. Tomorrow, we got Vic Carucci. John and I will be interviewing Vic Carucci tomorrow on the Beat. Wednesday, Hump-Day Hotline, and then Thursday, the Big O Show with Jerry Ostrowski, who's going to be bringing your 5 keys to beating the Lions. But yeah, for me, for John, for Jerry, for all of us here at Overreaction, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.